We have President Trump telling reporters earlier that talks with Mexico are making headway, but there's still a lot of progress that needs to be made.
We're having a great talk with Mexico. We'll see what happens, but something pretty dramatic could happen. We've told Mexico the tariffs go on, and I mean it too, and I'm very happy with it.
This coming as research from a firm called the Perryman Group estimates that more than 400,000 U.S. jobs will be lost this year if the 5% tariff goes into effect. Joining us now is Kip Eidelberg, Vice President of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. And Kip, thanks so much for being here. When you, some of your clients or some of you represent companies that include Caterpillar, also John Deere. When you talk to these companies, what are they most worried about when it comes to trade?
Well, thanks for having me on, Shauna. So this has been described as a gut punch for manufacturers, but I would liken it more to a sucker punch in that no one saw this coming. And just as we were enjoying some good news on the trade front with the removal of steel and aluminum tariffs, we're now facing 5% tariffs on goods across the board. And this is going to be ultimately bad news for equipment manufacturers. Costs will go up, margins will go down, and at the end of the day, American consumers and American businesses will pay the price. And this uncertainty in the marketplace, I think, is the biggest concern that we're hearing from our members. It makes it really hard to plan for the future and create jobs here in America.
It is very hard to plan for the future, especially with so much uncertainty. Are you hearing from members that they could be forced to cut jobs? Because I just read the statistics from that recent report by the Perryman Group saying that almost more than 400,000 U.S. jobs could be lost as a result of this.
Yeah, we certainly have heard those concerns, and let me tell you, ever since this trade dispute with China started, and once we saw those initial tariffs on steel and aluminum, equipment manufacturers have started to make adjustments, and that means not making capital investments, not hiring new workers, not creating new jobs, not investing in R&D. So this is a concern, and that report that you cited aligns with some of the research that we've done, which has shown that roughly 400,000 jobs that would normally be created, as a result of the strong economy and some of the regulatory relief, the tax reform that we've seen, are now not going to be created. And unfortunately, we should be doing more to promote manufacturing in America, not less, and that is what these tariffs will ultimately do.
Well, Kim, what is the best way to promote manufacturing in the U.S.? Because this is something that President Trump has talked about beginning with his campaign throughout his first couple years of presidency. He's actually saying that tariffs will help bring jobs back to the U.S., but it sounds like you don't agree with this.
Look, I think equipment manufacturers and most businesses are not asking for a whole lot. We're looking for policy certainty, which then, means business certainty so that companies can invest. We're looking for more access to new markets so that we can create jobs here in America. And we're looking for a government that's not going to pick winners and losers in the marketplace. And anytime a government starts to micromanage a company's supply chain, it usually doesn't end well, and it certainly does not mean new jobs.
Kip, are there certain states that you expect to be hit the hardest from these tariffs?
Yeah, taking a look at our footprint, obviously there's a lot of equipment manufacturing in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, in Ohio and Michigan, all politically important states, I would add. And certainly we have members in those states who are looking at these new tariffs and wondering what this will mean for their businesses and starting to make some adjustments to this. 5% is a lot, and we've heard that this could go up to 25%, which would be devastating. And just as we were starting to see some really good news in terms of the job creation in our industry, this is going to have a chilling effect, and it will hit those states in the Midwest, no doubt.
Kip, how about the China tariffs? Because we're focusing a lot on Mexico here, but I would think that China tariffs would have some implications for the manufacturing industry.
Well, absolutely. And what we've seen for our industry, particularly on the agricultural side, is the impact that the retaliatory tariffs that China has imposed on U.S. commodities as a result of our tariffs, that's really hurting the farm economy. And farm income is a key driver of agricultural equipment sales. And we are seeing that impact across the board when it comes to agricultural equipment manufacturers. And it's not a pretty picture, unfortunately. And again, just as we had some good news on the tariff front, and we've had some good news with tax reform, farmers are getting hit pretty hard, and that is having a ripple effect through equipment manufacturers. And we're very concerned of what that means for 2019, 2020.
Kip Eidelberg, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.